What's up, guys, and welcome to another video. This video I'm going to be showcasing a particular build for the homunculus, the water homunculus specifically. It's because I had this idea to try him out, like this particular build for Dragon's B10. One awkward thing though is that YDCB actually made a video the day after I thought of this and was like testing it. I was gonna make a video, and then like his one came out, so that was a bit awkward because like it looks like I'm stealing it from him. But actually, I did think of it before he showed it, so I just wanted you to keep that in mind. I'm not like that much of a copycat, but you know, I guess like most people in this game will copy each other anyway. But anyway, so the way I built him, so you have a couple of choices here, right? So this is like Frost Ray is the basic ability, and so you have a choice between giving him so it'll be single target buff removal, one effect that he will remove, and a chance to freeze, and the other choice is attacking all enemies and freeze them, or have a chance to freeze them for one turn. So AoE is pretty nice for clearing trash waves, but the first ability, the single target ability, I believe, is a bit better for the actual boss itself, because like just in case you you can't kill the boss before the immunity comes up, you can at least have a chance to remove it. Especially if you so you have a chance for the homunculus himself to remove it, and also a chance for if Tark brings the homunculus to attack on group hunt, then he can help. It's like another chance to remove the buff as well. And I believe single target damage has better multiplier than AoE, so this should do more damage to the boss. And of course, the buff removal is like a nice additional effect. Now for the second ability, you have a choice between defense break 2 turns or ATB reduction, right? So this is the basic ability, so you have a choice between those two, and this will decide which path you go to, right? Now I have, for the single target stuff, I have to pick this one, the single target defense break, but it is actually the better one anyway, because if you watched my speed DB10 guide before, you will know that defense break is very important for the boss, right? The more units that can do defense break, the better, right? So you have more chances to defense break the boss at the start of the fight, and the earlier you can do it, the more damage you can do before immunity comes up. So I would have picked this anyway, right? And now for the actual upgrade on second skill, you have a choice between AoE, like changing it to AoE, defense break, and damage, which is pretty nice for clearing trash waves. The problem is, similar to the first ability, is that the AoE one won't do much damage to the boss, or we won't do as much because it's an AoE, right? So I actually decided to pick the second one, which is single target, max HP based damage, and also the defense break as well. So I feel this one is a lot better because it should do a lot more damage to the boss, right? Because the boss is where it's the section that you'll be most likely to fail on, right? And the reason you'll fail is because you maybe don't do enough damage, or you just got really unlucky with debuffs. You want to try to eliminate the the bad luck with debuffs, but by putting units that have, or enough units that have the debuffs that you require. After that, you just want really good damage, single target burst damage, and I think this one is a pretty good one to have. Alright, so this one is what I picked. And now for the third ability, you have a choice between another AoE, Ice Explosion. This is pretty nice again for clearing trash waves, because the trash waves will be pretty squishy. I think with Galleon buff, this should wipe out the whole floor, right? Or at least the non-Zyros ones. And when he does do that, he'll get cooldown reduction, right? So you can just keep going wave by wave and AoEing them down, and basically resetting it for him, right? With like the way this one works. Now, the problem with this one is, again, same as the second skill, is that it's an AoE. So the AoE won't do as much damage to the boss, and there's also no additional effects that like there's no debuffs or like attack by reductions or anything like that on the boss. So like to me it's not that useful because it doesn't tackle the main problem of the fight, the hardest part of the fight. So therefore I picked the second ability, which is Freeze Mine, and the reason I picked this one is because it's max HP damage again, but the main thing is it also reduces attack by the 0. So you combine this with Stella's third skill, which is ATB reduction, depending on the number of hits, and also Galleon's second skill, which is an attack bar reduction, right, as well. Between all that, it's very easy to keep the boss locked down, or at least like long enough that maybe you only get hit once, and of course the damage is max HP scaling, so it's really good in terms of doing damage to the boss. I think ideally I would like to change him to Rage, because similar to like Spectra, right? These skills are similar to Spectra because they're max HP scaling. Spectra, you would build him towards as much crit damage as possible, right? Because the max HP portion of the scaling will scale with the crit damage, whereas attack power doesn't increase that part of the scaling any further. But crit damage will increase both your attack power stat, right? Or like after it calculates the damage you deal from attack power and max HP scaling, crit damage will boost both of those scalings up, and therefore it will do a lot more damage, right, than running like stacking crit damage. So I might change him next time I do rune removal and sort of like change his stats. Like you can see the stats here to towards like maybe 85 crit rate and then like hopefully much higher crit damage. Maybe I'll give him like a rage set to do that. Now, as for the runes, so the team, right, is exactly the same as the team I showcased in my DB10 speed guide run. So, check that out if you wanna like an in-depth guide about Dragon's B10 itself. I won't go through the other units because you can see it there. But for the Homunculus himself, I'll show you his runes. Now, he's on Blade Shield, and this was for like PvP purposes. But for DB10, I don't need him to be like the reason I gave him this set, right, is because it got him to the speed and crit rate I wanted him to be at, which is 100%. But for DB10, I don't actually need him to be at 100% crit rate anymore. So I can drop him down, and I can probably afford to give him a rage set, maybe a rage blade set, get him to 85 crit rate, and give him better crit damage substats or crit damage overall. So these are his runes, as you can see. They're pretty decent, and yeah. So I'll maybe test it out with like a different build later on, maybe next week. And if I feel it's like a big enough difference, I'll sort of make a separate video for that. But I'll show you some runs now and discuss like how the team works with him in it. So previously I had Teo in his spot, right? So having Teo is nice in that he does AoE, but one thing that I've noticed with like speed DB10, you don't actually need that much AoE in your team unless your AoE is wiping the whole wave. It's not really that worthwhile, right? You can just single target them down especially with units that have very good, like very fast animations, like Stella and Tuck both have pretty fast animations, and also the Homunculus, his first skill is like very fast animation, right? as long as you have those, like you'll get through the trash phase fairly quickly. What's more important is the boss itself and dealing enough damage before he gets immunity up, or get him low enough that you can just finish him off while he still has immunity. Okay, so you can see here the attack bar reduction is quite nice. He just reset most of his attack bar. This will help reduce the incoming damage, because you can't take too many hits from the dragon, right? As long as you can sort of force him to only make one attack on you, you should be like safe, in terms of success rate. But I'll do like a few runs to show you the consistency. Like, I seem to have not, well, from my observation so far, I haven't failed any runs with this team. And I've done quite a few refreshes with this, probably at least 10 refreshes, possibly more, because I usually spam, these dungeons. I don't really pay attention to how many I do it, how many refills I do, but yeah, like, with the single target damage, because there's only 3 units there, as long as they move fairly quickly in terms of speed animation, you clear them very similar to as having an AoE, unless the AoE is like really strong. Like maybe Julie, you could consider that, because her AoE is a lot stronger, and she's decent for the boss anyway. But that's sort of like another story for if I try to test her out. But you can see here I have multiple chances to defense break now. So first off, Galleon is the one that moves first, right? So he can obviously he has 2 skills that do defense break. Second of all, Stella has defense break on her first skill, and then finally, Homunculus has a defense break on second skill. And to further add to that, there's Tark that can bring 2 units and one of them will definitely be one of the defense breakers, right? Because he'll bring, actually no, he won't be. Well, at least there'll be a high chance. Wait. Yeah, so like if the worst case scenario would be if he brings Verd and the Homunculus, right? Because neither of them have defense break on skill 1, but you have a fairly good chance that he'll bring, either Galleon or Stella, right? And therefore, hopefully, with those 4 like possibilities on the first turn, you should get defense break up on the boss, right? And that will make it much easier for your team to just like pummel the boss down, get him low enough that even if he attacks you, right, as long as like a couple units survive, you can finish him off. One good thing about stacking a lot of these water units as well is it makes the mini boss a lot easier, because they're all gonna focus fire at the mini boss, especially because on this team, Verd moves last, right? And because the crystals are actually neutral element, that means all the water units will use their abilities on the Zyros first, and therefore if one of them defense breaks the Zyros, they'll all focus on the boss, and that will also reduce the amount of time the run takes, because you don't have to waste time killing the side crystals. But yeah, as you can see, the team is pretty consistent. I think I would highly recommend this. Like, it obviously is not a farmable team, but I would say it's like a reasonable chance for everyone to get these nat 4s, right? Stella doesn't have necessarily have to. It doesn't have to necessarily be Stella. You can use other water DPS instead of her, preferably one that does a defense break. Possibly a free-to-play alternative is the water magical archer. I haven't actually tested her damage yet, but I may test it next week if I do rune removal. And the reason for that is because she's got defense break on skill 1, right? Because the reason is because she's got elemental advantage against fire, and when her first skill will do different effects based on the elemental advantage or disadvantage. And for elemental advantage, i.e. fire, she'll always do defense break. Okay, so let's look at like the damage a bit more closely in a scenario. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring Galleon, the water homie, and I'll just protect him a bit with let's just bring Chloe. I think that's enough. Yeah, okay, I should be fine. So we'll look at the damage on each skill, and then we'll see how much damage he does on the boss as well. Oh shit. Okay, that was with only defense break. Okay, so with only defense break, he did 14k, which is not bad. It's not awful, not amazing. I would say it's actually kind of similar to a Filmars. Alright, so here... Actually, no, that was second skill. My bad. That's not as good as I thought. But we'll see. The first skill now. Let's do times 1. Well, I'll have to test out this one later on. 16,000... 16 to 17. Not the greatest. But I think if I gave him the runes for sorry, like if I gave him better crit damage runes like rage build, he would do a lot more as well. Alright, let's try out the freeze mine on like one of these guys. The animation's quite slow. Okay, so I was about 30k. It's not that amazing. It's not like a squall or anything like that, but it's not bad. I guess you also have to consider it may be different, you know, depending on who you use it against. You know, how much HP they have. I'll test out the second skill damage after this. I think on the dragon you could probably expect a similar amount of damage. Okay, so let's do it on like this this leftmost turtle. So we'll do a times 1. 17 to 18,000. That's actually not that great. I feel like he can do a lot more. Maybe just my stats are a bit too like it's built towards having consistent damage. So I think he could definitely do a lot more. Maybe I'll rebuild him and I'll compare the damage on my own, and if it's good enough that I feel it's worth sharing with you guys, I'll show you. You know, I'll upload a video for it. But lastly, we'll try out the third ability on the last dragon boss, right? Because he'll have a lot more health, so we'll see how much it will do. Right, what you will do times 1, freeze mine. 40,000. Okay, that's a much bigger difference. And you can see that took a huge chunk out of his health. Damn, that's pretty good. And as I said, I think he can do more if I, you know, alter his stats. Make him 85 crit rate with more damage and more crit damage from rage. Okay, so that's pretty much all I've got for this homunculus build. I kind of regret not actually making a build, a video for the other skill builds that previously, or at least not specifically them. But in the future, if I make any other changes, like I want to test out a different homunculus build, I'll let you guys know. I'll make a video on it and showcase what he does. So far, I quite like this one for DB10, but he's more of like a DB10, GB10 type unit only. Actually, just before I go, I'll show you I should show you how he performs in Giants. This team also, I don't believe, has failed yet. It has come close to failing sometimes if the boss actually moves and does like the big sweeping effect. But so far he hasn't failed, and I'm pretty happy with that, because previously with like the other units I've tried, eventually they tend to fail, you know, once every now and then. And as I said before, I think, you want to aim towards having 100% consistent runs, so you don't waste any resources, i.e., energy and crystals. The only one downside though is the animation on his third ability, and I think even his second ability. It's really slow. The first ability is actually quite fast though, so it sort of evens out a bit with that. But I just wish that it wasn't so slow. that ball thing just takes too long to like appear and do its thing, like that rolling thing or whatever. Alright, so yeah, you can definitely use the Water Homunculus for like both of these fights. I've tried him in like raids, like the light raid as well. He's pretty decent in that. You can also use him for the fire one. If you have enough AoE to cover the ads, you can bring him as a single target DPS. Not too bad for that. You can use him for single target burst damage on the dark boss if you're like choosing to ignore saving the imprisoned unit, or the 2 units that eventually will get stolen. What else? The water beast, it's decent in there too if you build him as like a speed nuker. Just keep in mind, I think the max HP damage stuff isn't as effective in like raid beasts for some reason, but it is pretty effective, obviously for scenarios, and definitely for and more importantly for like dungeon runs. Okay, so I think he excels in that sort of area. Alright, so that's it from me today. Thanks guys for watching, and I hope that was useful for you. I'm gonna do a rune video maybe tomorrow if I have time, or the day after. So I was supposed to do that earlier this week, but I just didn't have time. I did say that normally I would release the rune change video after rune removal. I was gonna do it today actually, but I was just too tired. I was like halfway through explaining my runes, and I was like starting to fall asleep. So rather if I'm falling asleep, I don't want to subject you to that, right? And sometimes when I'm like nodding off, I sort of like don't know what I'm talking about. So I just did like a standard sort of video length today for the Water Homunculus, and I hope you enjoyed it. So I hope this is useful for you guys. If you have even if you have a build for Wind Homunculus or Fire Homunculus that you want to see in action, or you want to start, you have a good idea for it though, like you want me to like see it in a certain area, let me know. I might give it a go if it sounds interesting. I want to try not to like waste the materials on it if I can help it, but if it sounds like a really good idea, I'll give it a go. Alright, so thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.